All right, everybody. Welcome to the Mansfield Buzz. And I'm getting that message, so hang on a sec. No, Jordan. Where'd it go? All right, see, every show starts off bang. Welcome to the Mansfield Buzz, guys.
Welcome to Mansfield Buzz with Jordan and Hurley. Local business stories, let's dive in early. Jordan asks the questions, brings stories to light. Hurley runs the tech, keeps production tight. Build trust in a town, discover and explore hidden gems and stores you never heard before. Community connection, that's what we're about. Tune in, join us, see what Mansfield's all about. Mansfield's all about.
Yeah, even the good guys screw up every once in a while, okay? So what happened was, ladies and gentlemen, was the minute I pushed the live button, the Facebook thing bounced a message up and covered up where I could click to get to the dang music on the side of the toolbar. So, they just find ways to hurt you every single day, right? So anyhow, Jordan, I thought I'd bounce this off of you. What do you think? If it's Thursday, it's the Buzz Day.
It's the Buzz Day.
It's the Buzz Day. So, hey, guys, we are here every single Thursday on the Mansfield Buzz from 2 to 3 o'clock. And what's really special right now is we're going to talk to Pattie with Dreamaker Vacations here in a few minutes, and she's going to get into what we're doing. But Pattie's going to be with us for every single first Thursday of every single month for 9 more months. And if you'll notice our hats, make travel great again.
Yeah.
Pattie got these hats and forced us to wear them. I'm kidding. We love them. But yeah, I thought it was when we were having our discussion meeting about having Pattie, we were all kind of giggling because when she said, I'm going to get these hats that say make travel great again, we all went, well, that's a pretty good idea. It's a real good idea. So, hey, by the way, guys, if we've already got 2 people, I think, that have liked it. If you would do us a favor, send this link out to some friends right now, we'd love that because everybody loves to travel. And the cool thing is you're going to get overwhelmed with travel tips. And we've already got a comment. I'll share it in a minute. Just sit tight, commenters. Let me get through the intro on the channel, which is cool. If you're on YouTube watching us today, make sure that you send this link out to some friends. Let me go over here and grab that for you, Jordan. Let's go right here. There it is. All right. So youtube.com at Mansfield TX Buzz. You can just use the handle at Mansfield TX Buzz on YouTube. It automatically takes channel. Make sure you go down, hit the thumbs up like button right underneath this video on YouTube. Share it with some friends. Let's get this thing cranked up. And also our host, just so you know who we are, Jordan Huff over there on that side of the screen, and yours truly, Hurdy Burke, right up there on the other side of the screen. And then this is I'm changing up the look of it a little bit. You don't notice I don't have my background where I disappear behind it, and which is really cool. I put my light kit up today and kind of blurred out the things behind me, but here is what we look like. This is produced by Jordan, which is really cool. So if you see this, you know it's the Mansfield Buzz. And let's see. Our numbers right now are about 2,800 on average are paying attention to our streams in a 28-day basis. We're up to about 45 hours, 50 hours of watch time, and we have 170 subscribers on a local show. We're trying to get 200 by July, guys. So please jump in and get that. All right. So if you want to be on the show, we're booked through July and August, first week of August now, because Pattie's got the first week of August coming up next month. And then it looks like August is already going to be booked very quickly because I've already sent those emails out. So it looks like we're working into late August and September, Jordan, just so you know. And so we're really excited. So let me see if Facebook won't get my way again. And put up that error message. That's so funny. And let's get to our icebreaker section, and then we will thank our sponsor, and then we'll get to Pattie. All right, everybody. So, Liberty Tax Defenders, you can find them at libertytaxdefenders.com. That's their website. I highly recommend you go check it out. They are a premier tax resolution firm. They work every day to help hardworking Americans keep more of their money out of the hands of overzealous bureaucrats. We help our clients solve problems with back taxes, unfiled taxes, returns, payroll, and trust fund issues. We also negotiate payment plans and offers in compromise that are favorable to our clients as well as represent clients. Basically, what this says is if you get a letter from the IRS, don't put it in a drawer. Don't ignore it. Don't throw it away. Call Liberty Tax Defenders at libertytaxdefenders.com. And I'm going to play a quick 33-second video of our sponsor, and then we'll get started with Pattie.
Sure. I don't agree with the IRS's position. What are my options?
Well, you can tell them to pound sand, which so few people do this. Don't just agree. They're wrong so often. You have rights. You can appeal it. The appeal must be made within 30 days of the date that the IRS has made a determination. You file a formal notice of appeal and you present your case before appeals. And they consider how much is it going to cost the IRS to go to court. At the end of the day, what's another 12 to 18 months if you save yourself 50 grand in the long run, which is, I think that's being conservative.
All right, everybody. Thank you. That's our sponsor, Liberty Tax Defenders. And let's just go ahead, Jordan, before you get started. Rockstar Inspections says, nice hat. John, that would be hats. I'm going to get a comment on that. You watch.
Wait for it. Wait for it to come down.
Yeah, I probably won't post it when he sends it back, but he's going to save it now. Hey, Pattie, welcome. I'm going to let Jordan take over. Jordan is our guru question asker and gets us into the deep dive of the podcast. So maybe, Jordan, you should fill in our audience how Pattie's going to play with us the next 9 months. You know what I'm saying? And then we'll dive into those questions. But Pattie, welcome. Thank you. We're so excited to have you for the next 9 months.
Excited to be here and share some knowledge.
Cool.
A master class of travel.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is going to be a treat for sure. And, you know, for our audience to know, this is, honestly, Pattie, I think is brilliant. She's going to be coming in the first Thursday of the month and just school us on travel. And you'll be amazed. It's going to have several heads.
Good try, John. Sorry. Good try.
Pattie will be coming and just educating us on, you know, just how to travel correctly. Because, quite frankly, if you don't use a travel agent, you're traveling wrong. And you're going to find out why here pretty soon.
Exactly.
I know just through talking to you, Pattie, like in a personal level, like I've learned so much. And she's going to take us through the entire workflow. She's got this awesome list of topics she wants to cover with us to get us like really a masterclass on a foundation on how to travel correctly. So this is going to be a treat. I'm so excited. Today's show is going to be an overview. And then, you know, to keep it, you know, it's a teaser to keep you guys coming back. Then she's going to go into individual different types of travel. So you can always find your preferred method and then just get the insight on it.
I love it. Yeah.
So without further ado, let's kick off with, you know, John's favorite topic over here. Let's make travel great again.
I love that.
Thanks. It was actually kind of funny. My husband actually came up with that. And you know what? That's the whole concept of using a travel agent. I did a little bit of networking and somebody actually sat at the table, seriously said, are travel agents still a thing? And I said, yes, we are. So when we were talking, he's like, make it great again. Use a travel agent that travels. And that's kind of my, you know, philosophy going forward now, and kind of educating and sharing travel information and stuff. And just a shout out to Sherry with Promotional Solutions that got our hats. Love it. She did great work on them. So thanks so much, Sherry.
Yes. And should mention that she hand delivered them.
She did.
And he for these.
Did. So.
Sherry's awesome. So I'm going to keep going with that, but I want to throw your hashtag out there because I just
I love that. And you know what? Just a little side comment, Jordan, before you get started.
Mhm.
Use a travel agent that travels. Seriously, think about that.
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
better person than the contract is somebody that does travel, that understands exactly what you're putting you on? That's pretty cool.
That's actually came up with when I started years ago. I had a client that came to me that said, I need help. I started working. I called in to book my trip. It was online. I had to call in, and the person had never been on a cruise before. And I'm asking all these questions about, how do I get on the cruise ship? Like, what do I do? And they had no idea. They were there to take the order, but couldn't help with those other details. And that's kind of when I came up with use a travel agent travels. If you want to go to Hawaii, but you're booking from someone who's never been there, it's kind of tough. So I don't do it all, but what I do know, I love to share with my clients. So it's been kind of my hashtag ever since. So
That's awesome. And so insightful. And I don't know, it's just one of those things you don't think about. And then, you hear it a lot. It's like, yeah, actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
First time you travel across the ocean to Europe, like it can be so daunting. And if you're doing and somebody is booking and stuff for you, and I mean, they've never done it. Like there's so many nuances.
right.
I'm sure you're going to get to, we are going to get to as we talk
Yeah.
about, there's so many little things here and there you just don't realize.
Yeah.
And somebody that has done that before can really tell you, don't trip on that stone. I've seen it happen time and time again.
Yeah, exactly.
So then let's get to the big question. Why use a travel agent? And let's start with a comment that you got. Are travel agents still a thing?
Yeah.
And sadly, I think because of the new booking systems and some really mischievous marketing tactics that we can dive into a little bit later,
Yeah.
we've lost a lot of the travel agents out there that really made our lives simpler.
Yeah.
So please tell us, why is it to our best benefit to use a travel agent?
One of the biggest misconceptions or myths is that it costs more. And I mean, if you can just pop online and type in what you're looking for and book it, why would you pay anybody to help you with it? And that's the misconception. Thanks for pulling that up, Herdy. What I did here is I picked a cruise, and it's a Hawaii cruise with Norwegian. This here is the consumer site. So if you went and said, hey, I want to go cruising Hawaii, popped into Norwegian, you would find this cruise. The dates, I've got 2 slides to show you, consumer site and a travel agent site. So this is my site. So if I was going to do the booking for you, this is what my screen looks like. When you go back, the prices are identical. So it's same dates, same cruise, same destination, same ship, everything. Prices are the same, but when you go back to the travel agent site, you will see at the bottom there's commission. I'm paid strictly by commission from the vendors. So that's why it doesn't cost our clients any more to use us. Norwegian pays me to do my job, and it's built into the price. So if you decided to go do the work yourself, you have to search the itinerary, search the ship. What do you get in that package for that price? Did you know you get a beverage package, you get Wi-Fi, you get an excursion credit, and you get specialty dining? All of that's already in there. You're paying the exact same amount, but you had to do the work. You've got to pull your documents. You have to know how to check in. You have to know those rules. And really, that's just what a travel agent is here for, is to make your life easier, give you the options of the couple of cruises that you might want to choose, and we get paid from the vendors. So that's one of the biggest misconceptions, is that it costs more. Now, I'll be honest, there are travel agents that charge a planning fee, and I would even charge a planning fee too if it's a very intricate trip. There's some vendors that don't work with travel agents, so we don't make any commission. So therefore, there has to be a planning fee for us to make a living. But those are really intricate trips, really a lot of details. You're visiting like 7 countries kind of thing, hopping all over the place. So, but for the most packages, I don't charge a planning fee. Most travel agents don't. It's a service that we love to do, and it's included. So.
That's really interesting, because, and it's similar with, because you showed this, the example was a cruise, right?
Yeah, it was.
And it's similar with hotels and flights and
It is.
all
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Which I find it interesting because you have the option of doing all the work yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then booking the trip
Mhm.
after all that, and then shouldering all that stress on yourself, and basically make money for the provider you're getting, right? Like the cruise line, because you just saved them the commission fee. So you basically worked for them.
Yep.
Or you can just not do any of it, have somebody do it for you.
Yeah.
They get paid. You don't pay anything different. You don't do the work. And there's some additional benefits in that we were talking about too, right? Because like, I don't know necessarily, like if I book a cruise and I get a certain type cabin type,
yeah,
they're typically, prized by name, but where they're located makes a big difference.
Absolutely.
And I don't know where the good locations are, where the bad ones are, but they cost the same, but you could be stuck with a really bad one.
Yeah. Yeah. I've personally been on over 32 cruises, and I've made my husband stay in all the kinds of cabins. So we've stayed on the inside, the ocean view, the balconies, the suites. And you're right, location on a ship is a big difference. The movement on the ship is different. So you're going to want to be in kind of center ship, a little higher to get that stability. Don't be next to an elevator. You know what? That's your main traffic area. And if your cabin backs onto the elevator shaft, you're going to hear that through the night. Watch what floor you're on, above you or below you. So those are things that I'll check when I'm finding a cabin for clients. I check the floor above and I check the floor below. You don't want to be on the upper deck, underneath the upper deck, because at 5 a.m. they drag out the chairs and start putting them out for the day, right? Same thing. You don't want to be under the disco club for the evening because it goes till like 1 a.m. So we've learned those things, and that's just little things that I make sure for my clients that they've got the best cabin. And funny story I'm going to share. We did a group to Tahiti. I had clients on my trip. I booked them all their rooms, but they got an upgrade. And this is something that gets a lot of clients. They think that, their best interest, they're getting an upgrade. My clients took it. However, they ended up at the back of the ship with the deck above them. And so at 5 a.m. every morning, those chairs were being dragged out and there was nothing. I mean, you're in your cabin. So little things like that can happen. So when upgrades come through, definitely I'll, talk to the client and say, but we'll never know where they're going to put you with an upgrade. So there's a lot of layers to cruising and the logistics and administration. So just here to help clients out with that.
So Patty, I'll tell you one more thing that you do if it's the same price. You take the total amount of stress off the person having to do all the work, and you make their vacation fun.
Yeah, that's my goal. So.
Good.
Yeah. There's so many added bonuses. Then if we continue in the thread of the cruise, right? Because this applies to a lot of different things, not just cruises. But in the cruise, you book it, then there's the activities.
Yeah.
That's another one that you just like, all right, now pick what you want to do.
Yeah.
You had one more thing that I think, that would give me stress. Just like, do this, do we want to do it? Like, don't want to book it with a cruise. I'm afraid to book it outside of the cruise because I don't know if I'll come back on time. Like, it's just a lot of that. And you help with that, right?
Yeah. So a lot of the itineraries, like with cruising, like I said, we've been on over 32 cruises. We've been to almost every Caribbean island there is. We've been to Hawaii, French Polynesia, Europe. So when you're porting in these ports, generally what I do with my clients is whatever port they're heading to, I'll give them like the top 3 things to do. Mm-hmm. And yeah, you were right. You can buy the excursions off the ship. They're usually a little bit more. Or you can use local tour operators. And again, that's a big asset to travel agents. We make those contacts in destination. I have local tour operators in those places that'll give you that local, authentic experience, not a busload of 60 people being carted around. So they do try and fear people of, hey, if you book off the ship, you're going to get left behind. They don't. These tour operators are reputable. They don't want to leave anyone behind because it's their reputation, but it's knowing what's out there, who to use, and giving those recommendations to clients. And that's really what my job is. So
I love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And again, you could do all this work yourself.
Yeah.
And company the commission, or you could just not do it. Have somebody professional do it for you.
Yes.
Cost the same.
Yeah. And I love clients that do want to do some research. I mean, that's why I got into travel. I love the research. And I understand I've got a lot of great clients that know what they want. They've already looked at it. But again, their time is valuable. So they don't need to spend the 4 hours comparing 3 hotels. They just tell me their top things that they want in a hotel or destination or like location. And then I'll go research them and give them their top 3 choices. And all you have to do is pick one of 3. So I can shave many hours off for clients doing it that way.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
So I think moving on to hitting or, travel topics, if you don't know why you should use a travel agent by now, then you just work.
Good point.
But then, there's so many more things that come with a seasoned travel expert, right? So one that I want to talk to you about now is one that's been, a little bit in the news lately because a lot of things have changed lately.
Yeah.
And so travel legalities, there is actually some like legal things to take into account. Before it used to be a passport, now there's visas. There's now like a myriad of things. So I love it if you could just take us a little bit over that point, because it's a little scary, especially when you're venturing out to a new country for the first time.
Yeah. So that's the worst thing you can do is book your own trip, get into a country and be denied entry because you don't have a visa, or your passport has to be valid for so long after you arrive or after you leave. Each country has its own little requirements, if you will. I don't get into a lot of the legalities because I'm not a lawyer, but I do have resources that we use from travel agents that we can pass on to our client to say, the country says this. So if you need to go get a passport, do it now, all of that, so we can get it booked. Visas are changing constantly. Europe is now going to be changing. It was supposed to have an e-visa coming in beginning of this year. Well, now they're bumped it to August. So you have to know which countries you need that for ahead of time. Some have to be done online. Some have to be done 6 months before you go. Some have to be just before. Some you can get in the airport. So all of that needs to be known. Passports versus real ID. Here in the US, real IDs are a new things coming out. So people that used to just travel with their driver's licenses aren't going to be anymore. Airlines are requiring that real ID, and that's that extra level of security. And even for cruise ships, for the longest time, if you were on a closed loop, which means you started in one location and ended in the same, they would accept birth certificates and ID, things like that. Cruise lines are even going to passports. And one of the biggest reasons we can say why is that if something happens medically, that you end up in a hospital and don't make the ship, you miss your ship because you're having that extra margarita in Mexico, you're going to be left in port without your ID that was left on the ship. Ooh. So at least with that kind of a passport, one of my things for all of my clients is I take copies of their passports or ID and I hold it on file until they've traveled. And so if you get stuck in destination or have medical issues or something like that, at least we have a copy that we can get to the consulate. We can get to it to prove who you are, to get you home faster and safer. An example why I take copies and I don't book without them. I had a gentleman who flew, he was in Canada, he flew to Toronto, he was flying to Florida for a conference, and he left his passport on the plane and did not get it back. He went back to security. It was already gone. The plane had left, didn't get it. But I was able to send that copy of that passport to the consulate, to the Canadian embassy there, and verified who he was because I was a travel agent, and he got an emergency passport, which allowed him to go back into Canada and continue on with his vacation. So those extra little things that travel agents do for their clients, I mean, so many people don't realize, take a copy of your passport, leave it with a family member. You never know if something can happen. So all of these kind of little tips and tricks that travel agents will pass on to their clients to help them out.
Good.
Digital copies of e-docs. When you do it all yourself, you have to go in and print off your own documents. A lot of people don't even realize that they have documents to print off. We give copies to our clients to make sure, and we keep a copy just to make sure we're on top of things. Things like drugs, marijuana, not legal in every state. And taking it over the border can be illegal, even though you're going to another state where it might be legal. And that happens, a lot of people will come up with that question. Can I take, something with me? And it's no. The answer is no, you can't. Don't do it. So there's so many little things that travel agents are on top of. We take training for. We get bulletins all the time just to keep our clients aware and abreast of stuff that's happening.
Yeah. One I wanted to ask you too, because I have a small kid, is traveling with minors too. That can be an issue.
It can, and it's actually getting more of an issue with human trafficking that's been going on in our world, right? Grandparents used to take grandkids on vacations all the time.
Yeah.
Now they're really questioning more. So, my favorite is to refer off a favorite lawyer of ours that can do up those documents that mom and dad can sign off that say, yes, grandma and grandpa have right to take these children on vacation, kind of thing. Single parents, when you get divorced, mom wants to take, the little one on a vacation, dad has to agree to it. There has to be documents in there, and it just saves everybody so much grief.
Yeah.
In case, because again, if you're denied in destination, when you land, there's costs to get back, and your trip's ruined. So we can alleviate that ahead of time with little information.
That's great. And that's such peace of mind too. I mean,
Yeah. And I was going to say, you don't know what you don't know. So if you're working with a travel agent, this is where you can get those details.
Yeah.
If that alone is worth it, you want to know the truth.
Yeah. And just especially if you're not a fan of paperwork.
You're right. Well, and honestly, things have just changed so much, right? It used to be, even 5 years ago, it was just never a big deal, but our world is changing constantly with stuff. And now it is a big deal that you need to, it's better to be safe than sorry. Have that document notarized by a lawyer or somebody that you can take that child. Even if you never get asked for it, at least you got it.
Yeah.
Right. Good
And
point.
it's so important to have somebody that is knowledgeable. And, particularly with that thing you mentioned earlier, when sometimes you're talking with order takers, and it's sometimes something that you get, and I don't think people realize just how many of just order takers there are out there. I know, it doesn't happen to me, but it happened to my mom. And I woke up to I think it was like 3 a.m. because it was a morning flight in Europe, and the order taker, whom my mom and my sister booked a flight to France, and they're flying back home. They met in Mexico. They flew from Mexico to Europe, and then on the way back, they flew to the U.S. and then Mexico. My aunt doesn't have a visa, and this person booked a connecting flight in the U.S. to then go to Mexico. Now, my mom has dual citizenship, so it wasn't a big deal, but my aunt couldn't get on the plane.
Yeah.
And it's like, we're stuck. Wow. And then, she called to confront the, not me about name, but it's a not very Smartpedia service that, just go back like, what's the deal? Like, why did you book this? Like, oh, we're so sorry. So then they booked another flight.
Yeah.
And it was a connecting flight to another country that also required a visa. And it's just like, guys, like, what is going on? Like, how could you make this a mistake twice? So they ended up having to drive down to another city to take a direct flight that stopped. I think I stopped by Turkey and then went to Mexico, and they had to pay for it out of pocket.
Yeah.
And then take it up with not Smartpedia to be like, you owe us a refund because you booked something on Travelable.
Yeah.
Word. But
that's why, when people are traveling to these countries or with the stops, you do need to check. There's different visas. There's a visa for stopping through. There's a visa for staying. So some have requirements for both.
Yeah.
So it's not just as easy to say, oh yeah, I'm just going to book this flight and we'll be fine. Right. So you have to double check everything.
Yeah. And, there used to be a time where the U.S. passport would get you everywhere.
Absolutely.
And that's not the case anymore.
No, things change. Yeah.
Well, and keeping in the theme of avoiding, the unexpected, there's one I really want to ask you about because I personally don't know a lot about this, but I know it's available, and I love it if you could just give us a little rundown on travel insurance.
Ah, yes.
To my understanding, there's different types, and I mean, some of these trips are expensive, so it makes sense to secure them, but I really don't understand how the whole thing works.
Right. So with travel insurance, we hope that those vendors, the air vendors or hotels, have our best interest at heart if something goes wrong or whatever, but they really don't. They're really not obligated to do a lot. So trip canceled, the airline just says, oh, mechanical, can't do anything about it, not our fault. They really don't owe you a whole lot. You hope that they're going to rebook you and get you on, but not necessarily. Travel insurance really comes into play, and it's really more prevalent everywhere across the world now, especially with medical and things like that. There are different kinds of plans. Some are better than others. People have medical insurance through work or a private plan, but you really have to know the travel component of it. A lot of it does not go from state to state. It won't cover you. A lot of it won't go country to country medical, or it won't cover pre-existing medical conditions, or there's stability clauses. All of these kind of things are, every plan is different, and you really have to understand what you have. Do you just need a top up, or do you need a whole plan to travel? The biggest one, interruption and cancellation. Everybody's like, oh, my credit card covers that. Well, we credit card.
Sure.
That $100 a year fee does not cover a whole lot.
Yeah.
And especially medical is usually zero unless you have the Mac Daddy credit card, because medical can be so expensive. I mean, it doesn't take long to add up quickly. So most credit cards have zero medical, and people just assume that you're covered when it says, oh, you've got travel insurance on it. That's usually maybe a car rental that you would be covered for or something like that. So you really have to read those terms and conditions and understand. We have the credit cards that have medical or travel insurance as well. And you know what? We still take plans because I've had it happen where it doesn't cover everything. And I'm a big fan of that. One of the plans that I offer also has a component called cancel for any reason. There are some rules around it, but generally anything that could be unexpected or unforeseen, you can cancel and get up to 75% of your money back.
Wow.
So if you're booking a $20,000 cruise that's in a 100% penalty, if you don't have insurance, you're getting zero back. You hope that the cruise line may do something for you, but they're not obligated to. So with the cancel for any reason, let's say you have a medical issue, your house burns down, you're broken into, anything like that you're just like, I can't travel, that cancel for any reason can kick in and at least get you a good chunk of your money back. But a lot of people don't even know that that's an option with travel insurance. So it's really about having that conversation with my clients and saying, what do you have? What do you need? Do you have medical pre-existing conditions? And we need to find out what the stability clauses are on those, just to make sure you know what you've got and what you don't.
Yeah. If you get really sick or get hurt, you want to make sure you get back to your country of origin for sure. That's
and
a
I mean,
big deal.
So many times on Facebook, you'll see the GoFundMes get set up because people are traveling without medical insurance and something happens at destination and now credit cards maxed. A lot of these, the hospitals and destination won't touch you until you put down money. And that's just the way they work. So you have to be able to travel with a huge credit card balance or, money available in case. So that couple $100 policy could really save you a lot.
Yeah. That's cool.
I know if you're going to Bali, get medical insurance, because I've talked to so many people that have gone to Bali for the honeymoon and spend the entire time in the hospital because of, I think it was dengue fever. Yeah. And I mean, it's just it's like the mosquitoes over there. That's just what they have. And the people there have an immune system and you don't, and it's going to knock you out.
Yeah. I mean, I'm telling you, you want to be able to get back home for sure.
Nope. Yeah.
And these insurance can actually cover the cost of getting you out of there too, right? Some of them do. Yeah. There's some really great plans. A few years ago, when it was a little more hostile in some places, they actually have some plans that will do air evacs.
During COVID was a plan that I used to sell quite frequently to people, that if you developed COVID, they would actually scoop you in before they detained you and got you back to your country and quarantined. So there's plans for everything. It really depends on where you're going, how long you're going for, your age, you know, the risk involved. So we kind of look at that and find a good plan to cover you.
That's good. That's good to know. I've never really understood how those work. And honestly, I'd only thought about the travel, like just getting reimbursed for whatever reason. I hadn't even thought about like getting medical coverage while you're there.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's arguably probably even more important, because you never know what happens.
Yeah, I think that's my biggest concern is medical. You just never know what can happen. And we all say we're going regardless. It's not going to happen to me.
Yeah, right.
But we've got stories of, you know, clients that ended up in the hospital, even with a sprained finger, and that all had to be dealt with. So, yeah.
Yeah. Or if you're an adventurous traveler, you know, you're going hiking, you're doing like all these activities.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, accidents do happen.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think I'm not already thinking of who I'm going to tell this to, because I'm like, bro, you're nuts when you travel. You should definitely insure yourself.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay, I have another one for you, and I think people are going to appreciate this, because I know very few people that are good packers. Every time I travel, I come back with half of my clothes that I didn't wear. But on my trying to pack there, I feel like I'm going to need stuff, and it's such a mental drain to do that. And I'll admit it, I'm a last day packer.
Okay.
If you ask me, like, if I'm going out of town, you call me the day before, and that's what I'm doing. It's like, what are you doing, packing?
Yeah, I'm getting anxious just thinking about that. But yes, I get that. You know what?
Travel. It is hands down my least favorite thing.
Yeah, and I agree. I'm an overpacker. I'm trying to get better. You know, just certain destinations have good packing tip lists that we can give out to clients and things like that. You know, just certain destinations, these are must-haves. Do not forget this stuff. You know, the cost of SPF in Tahiti was like astronomical through the roof, because, you know, island stuff, bringing stuff in, it's more costly. So those are the kind of things that you want to pack.
You have like the sunscreen.
Yeah, sunscreen, those little meds, you know, if your tummy gets upset, those kind of little things. You don't always know what you're going to be able to find in destination. So having a packing list, you know, even if you get the tips ahead of time, make your own and just say, I want this outfit. I can't give advice on packing outfits because I'm an overpacker. So I've got better ones, but getting really good luggage with the TSA approved lock. Everybody, you know, don't want anybody going through my luggage, so they lock your bag. And if it's not a TSA approved, they have the right to break it. And then you're with a broken lock, and they're not responsible for that because they have the right to go through and check. So those little things are the best tip I can give for luggage. Pack for the season, not the reason, right? That's it. Kind of, are you cruising? Are you going during the fall season when it's chilly? Are you going for the hottest time there is? Like, just having kind of a balance of clothes and outfits, dressy versus casual. Weight restrictions on airlines is something with your carry-on, your personal item, and your checked bags. You really have to know that. There are so many times, I'm sure we've all gotten to the airport and you see these people repacking at the counter because they're like 5 pounds over. Get a good scale for weighing your bag. And when you're purchasing bags, take the weight of the bag into consideration. There's some really heavy bags. So then you have to think about that I can't pack as much.
So you mean that if I pack my suitcase and have to sit on it, I probably have a problem?
Yeah, I think you've overpacked. Just yeah. Just, you know, things like medications. One thing that a lot of people don't realize, and we all use those Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday kind of things. Right. But especially traveling across borders and international, you
better have your actual prescription.
Exactly. Take it in the original bottles with your name on it. And then when you
want people to believe you. Yeah.
Exactly. You don't want something pulled and you can't explain what it is, or they're trying to like touch your pills and go through it and trying to figure out what it is. So those little things that we kind of chat with clients about how to pack properly.
Probably a good idea.
Yeah.
I was going to give people a visual aid too. This is a suitcase scale.
Yep.
Just press the button. You loop this around the handle. You pick it up, and it tells you if you're over 50 pounds or whatever the limit is.
And don't forget to pack it with you, because you got to pack it home too. So.
Yep. Yeah. Wow. With you, and it saved me so much grief.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because it's amazing. For example, like my shoes, it's wild how much they weigh.
Yeah.
So
a pair of jeans is about 2 pounds.
Yeah, and I'll put them in. It's just like, I gotta go so high. Like, this is crazy. And leather shoes are heavy.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you're like wearing some nice, taking some nice shoes because you're gonna have a dinner.
Right.
It's like that's a significant amount.
And one of the things that usually gets me into trouble is toiletries. You know what? You pack your luggage, you're at a certain weight, and then you're like, oh yeah, I still have my toiletry bag because I need that first thing in the morning before we go. And then when you put that in, you're overweight. So there's just those little packing tips that we can go through. I have a bunch of lists and things like that to help out clients. So packing cubes are the newest trend. My husband swears by them. I haven't got into them yet, but packing cubes are simply little containers that zip up, and you roll your clothes, and you've got like day 1, day 2, or you can separate it into pants, t-shirts, whatever. And it just organizes your suitcase. And the really cool thing is after you kind of wear your clothes, use the packing cube for your dirty clothes to come home, so that not everything's everywhere. So they're the hottest tip.
You see, that's a good tip, because most people, if they don't have access to washer and dryer, will throw it back in the same thing. So if you have these bags that you can have that keep them separated, it makes life easier when you get back home, and life easier on the road. That is cool. Yeah. That's smart, actually.
That's what.
Because we all know we throw stuff back in, and you try to figure out where you're going to put it, because you can still got clean clothes. Yeah. Okay. Good tip. I like that.
Yeah. No, that's nice. Probably a little more side laid to grocery bags. So towards the end,
whatever, I mean,
your own little cube, right? It's the HEB brand packing cubes. That works great. So
this is my grocery store dirty laundry right here. Yeah.
Perfect.
That's funny.
So that's packing tips. So if you're an overpacker like me, you're hopeless. I'm sorry.
Me too.
I can't wait to get to this next one.
But what is nuts though, and I will say, like, for example, my mom will pack her bag like 2 weeks before she's going to travel. She has it packed and ready to go. I'm like, how are you? Like, I don't get it. You're not going to use any of that stuff like now.
I've tried that, and then you pull it out because you need it, and then you forget to repack it, and then you pack 2 things because you weren't sure, and so it's a mystery.
Yeah. Wow.
All right, on to the next one. Let's talk about travel etiquette.
Yes. Okay, no hate mail on this one, guys, please. These are just a couple of things.
Are you saying this is a sticky one?
Yeah. One of my biggest things with travel nowadays is it has changed so much over the years. Everybody's in that rush to go. Patience is lost. I say pack your patience. If nothing goes wrong in your trip, buy a lottery ticket. That's fabulous. But just expect things are going to happen. There's going to be delays. There'll be cancellations. Your luggage is going to get lost or delayed or something. Just, pack your patience and still remember that you're not at home. So you're traveling. So that's just kind of one of my big things.
So Pattie, that leads into maybe your little story about what happened the other day to one of your clients.
Oh, my clients. My clients deserve this trip so much. We had booked about a month ago. They are in Europe right now on a cruise, and got everything planned. We got them in a couple of days early. They were going to spend time in Rome enjoying. We had excursions booked. We had a great hotel. I don't know if anyone knows, but the Trevi Fountain has been under repair and maintenance, and they're now restricting people that can go to the Trevi. They're only allowing kind of so many. So we got them a hotel that they could see the Trevi Fountain right from their room, so that they didn't have to wait in line.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was great, planned. And unfortunately, his mother passed, and they had an emergency in the family. So we ended up rebooking their flights, canceling transfers, canceling the hotel, all of this, got them rebooked. still going on their trip. And then it was Monday morning. They were supposed to be flying out. Their cruise left on Tuesday afternoon out of Rome. And I get a note at 8 a.m. that Delta had canceled their flights. Not rebooked, canceled. They were on the way to the airport in the Uber. And so right away on the phone, 2 phones going, email going, called the cruise line, was on with the airline on hold. By the time they made it up to the front counter, their flights were rebooked. So they were now doing 3 stops to get there, but they still made it. They made their transfer, and I got a wonderful video of them sailing out of the port of Kisilewich. So they
Great
were calm
story.
through the whole trip. They were relaxed. They knew I had their back. And that was the big one. I just said, hang in line. Do not get out of line. Keep your spot. Let's get this done. And they were amazing clients. Like they understood that things are going to go wrong and whatever. And we had that conversation. So I'm so grateful that they made their trip. And actually, I just got a message this morning that now one of their ports they can't stop at. So again, first thing this morning, we've already canceled their excursion for the day and we're looking at rebooking something else for them. So they're just pack your patience on travel nowadays and go with the flow. It's great. So.
And another good reason to have a travel agent, because without that, those 2 things would have never, the first one wouldn't have been solved. So the second one wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
How you like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they just, like I said, they couldn't change their trip. They couldn't do anything. It was a do or die, or they were just not.
Yeah.
Able to
That's
but
awesome.
So I'm excited for them.
Kudos.
Awesome.
Yeah. One of the newest thing that I heard this morning on the radio station was in Turkey, they have passed a new law. And this, I'm excited, and I would hope that it would come here, but I don't think it is. The new law, when you get off the aircraft, when it taxis into the terminal and you're waiting to get off, it is now illegal to stand up before it's your turn. And grab your bag.
Oh, really?
Yes. They can fine you even if you stand up. And if you grab your luggage or anything to get off and you stand in the aisle, they will fine you.
Wow.
So I think that's kind of cool because you know what? It's like as soon as that seatbelt signs off, everybody's up and hitting each other and just relax. Take your patience. Everyone's getting off that plane. Everyone's getting into that terminal. So I love that. And one of my etiquette is, and a lot of people don't know this and a lot of people don't follow this, but when you're exiting the plane, do seat A, B, C, and then D, E, F, and then A, B, C, D, E, F. It just goes so orderly. Everybody running from everywhere. It just, we're all on the same plane. We're all getting off, and your luggage is coming anyway, so you got to waste time. So just those kind of, nice things. As a middle seat person, I really appreciate getting to use the armrests once in a while. That's really nice.
I bet.
Yeah, little things.
They really instituted a law where deboarding an aircraft is going to be an orderly row by row situation instead of everybody trying to grab their luggage and get out the front. That's funny.
Yeah,
Good.
that was in Turkey. I heard that this morning on the radio, and I'm
That's
like,
pretty funny.
Yeah. So it's all about being polite.
Let's fine people into being polite people.
Yeah, that's right.
When we used to travel business class or business back when we used to fly a lot, seasoned travelers know better than to get up and get their luggage. They'll just sit on the plane and let everybody depark and then wait till everybody clears and get off at the end because, it's easy if you just wait.
Yeah, you just
get a Coke from the back. You have them bring you a Coke and sip on it till, everybody gets off. I'm serious. That's what we used to do.
Keep watching your show.
Relax, grab your bag, get off.
Now you have headphones and movies. Heck, just sit there and do the music thing till everybody's gone. So cool. Exactly. Pack your patience.
Yeah, pack your patience. That's my biggest travel etiquette for anybody, I think, is no matter what it is, in terminal, on the plane, whatever, just be patient and we're all here for a good time. So
can I ask you a controversial one?
Yeah.
Can you take your shoes off on a plane?
Please don't. You know what? Yeah.
Can I kick the seat in front of me?
Yeah, kicking the seat, taking your shoes off and putting your feet up. One thing is ladies with long hair or ponytails and they flap over the
Oh yeah, just know what.
Your screen's like, hey.
Yeah. We all have such little space on these planes that we're all in this together. And, let's just try, unfortunately we can't go anywhere unless we fly. So, I don't know.
You're right.
Say be nice, but, make everybody's trip as enjoyable as you can. So,
that's right.
Yeah.
That's good advice. And, a lot of it is common sense, but
it is.
Sense is not so common.
Yeah.
No.
So hang on. Yeah. So let's see what we got here real quick.
This one is going to be the one that we got a comment. Have you seen people stow themselves in the overhead compartment?
No. There's no seatbelts up there. I can't.
No.
Oh, yeah. That's funny.
It's not like riding in the back of the car.
Yeah. Yeah, as a kid, right?
Yeah,
right.
Trunk, because this But up next, types of travel. Take us through that, because this is the big list, and we're all savvy in some and totally ignorant in others.
Yeah, and that's the really cool thing with travel is, everybody has their preferences, what they like, what they've done, what they're comfortable with, and then just to know that there's types of travel to get you outside of that comfort zone. There's everything from cruising, which can be ocean cruising and river cruising, and very cool. A lot of people don't know that the rivers here in the US have cruising up the Mississippi and stuff.
Yeah.
So you can cruise very, very local. Air travel, of course, anywhere we have to pretty much go with air. All-inclusive. All-inclusive can mean so many things. So an all-inclusive package can be your air, your hotel, your transfer. All-inclusive hotel can be your room, food, and drinks. Then the cruise package can be a cruise, or it can be an all-inclusive cruise where your drinks and your gratuities and everything's encompassed into one. So it really means a different thing. So when people say, I want to go all-inclusive, what does that mean to you?
Right. Depends on the trip.
Absolutely. And value, right? Sometimes, what you get isn't a value, so you look at something else. Solo travel is really up and coming, especially for women. It is a whole new market. Solo travel can be absolutely by yourself, or it can be still a group, but you're traveling by yourself with just like-minded people where you might share accommodations for cost-wise savings. So it can be kind of spread out. Guided travel, like we personally lead tours with Dreamaker Vacation. So we go on a cruise to Europe. We're guiding that trip. So we're with you all through the whole trip. There's coach tours in Europe is really popular for coach, so the big buses. And a lot of vendors even have self-guided where they give you a car rental and say, here's the map. These are the cool places to stop. Off you go. So, group travel can be anything as well. Pros and cons of group travel. There are pros and cons. You stay together as a group, but you may pay a little bit more. So when we kind of in the months coming up, when we talk about group travel, we'll dip into why people think that if I'm traveling in a group, it should be so much cheaper. We'll kind of go through that on how the vendors.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Different budgets. There's luxury, there's mid-range, and there's budget travel. It really depends on your comfort level for travel. And really, luxury does not have to be necessarily a 10-star kind of thing. It can be from, starting off with a Carnival cruise and now going up to a Princess cruise. That can be luxury for people. So it isn't all, when I say luxury, it doesn't mean you have to spend $20,000 on a trip.
Gotcha.
It can just be that upper level of service that maybe you haven't had before and you really want to treat yourself to it. So one of the biggest questions I ask people when they're kind of looking for what type of travel is, are you a traveler or are you a tourist? And neither one is good. They're equal, but they're different. Travelers really want that immersive experience, really deep dive. They want authentic. They want that experience. Tourists, and I'm going to say they're kind of like the all-inclusive, want the beach, want the fun, hot spots, want all of those nightclubs and stuff. There's a difference. And both of them are fantastic. And I think everybody is one or other sometime in their life, and really depending on why you're traveling. So all through the next 9 months, we're going to kind of go into all of these and really describe them better and
awesome.
Find out where you're going to be. So, yeah.
That's great. And then there's the event, because you mentioned the travel versus tourist. There's adventure and expeditions, right?
Yeah. Adventure and expedition is a big one. And it's not necessarily just for those people that hike mountains and stuff, but adventure travel is your safaris and your just outside the box that isn't the all-inclusive kind of on a beach. You're really experiencing wilderness. Yeah, and expedition, they have cruises that go into the Antarctic. So, I mean, not a place that I necessarily want to go filled with ice, but it is a once in a lifetime opportunity that you're only going to see, flora and fauna that are in that ecoculture. So there's definitely cruising for that. There's tours for that. No matter where you are in your life on what you want to do, there's something.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's so cool. Yeah, I'm more of an adventure expedition and traveler. Like, I just like to immerse myself and go, most places I go, I'll rent a car and just
do, Jordan. I like that too. That's kind of my gig, those kind of exclusive train trips into different parts of the world, Grand Canyon, Alaska, whatever, unique mountain climbing, hiking trips, stuff like that. So, yeah.
I'm beach. I
love
the beach, so, but not to say that I won't become an adventure or an expedition at one point in my life. And that's the really cool thing with travel is everybody's at different parts of different times of their life. So just know that there is a type of travel for everybody out there. So
yeah. I agree.
Yeah. We're actually talking about that, right? Like, we go through different stages. I love the expedition. I love travel. But if you ask me as of recently what I want to do, like, I can see the appeal of an all-inclusive. I can go sit at a beach and have somebody bring me drinks and food all day.
Yep.
And we'll move it all. And that's great.
Perfect.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with doing nothing.
No,
absolutely. That's what vacation is about. You make it what you want it to be. And, there's no right or wrong. My tagline is making your vacation dreams come true. And that can be a road trip to a bucket list destination of a world trip, right? Like, it is all about you. So.
Yeah, great.
I'll tell you, the only problem with doing nothing is you never know when you're done.
When you have to come back to reality, that's when you're done. So.
When you get on your plane to come home.
That's it. Yeah, that plane ride home will do it for you.
Oh, car ride, whatever. Airfare class. Okay.
Yeah, let's go over the class. You guys mentioned it. There's
wing, tail, and front.
Yeah, there you go.
And as John says, there's the wheel. Where the wheel goes up. You can ride there.
There you go. Yeah,
cargo. You'll freeze to death, but you could ride there.
Yeah.
Airfare's
changed a lot too over the years. We used to kind of have like the first class and economy, and that's what most people were kind of used to. But now a lot of the airlines are coming out with basic fares, which are the, and there's also low cost carriers. So that's the one where you're nickel and dime for everything, right? But those people who just weekend trip, pack very minimal and they're just gone, that's an ideal airline for them. The ones that overpack, that we need that, checked bag plus the carry-on plus the personal item, we need different classes there. So again, talking with clients, it's like, what do you need out of this airfare? Where are you going? How long are you going for? All that kind of stuff. Pricing, air is very expensive. So with long trips, you want to make sure that you're in a comfortable seat and things like that. Those quick trips across the States or, weekend getaway or somewhere, low cost might be great, but just understanding that there's so many restrictions with the basic fares. A lot of people don't realize that when you look at air and it's like really cheap and that's the one you pick, but then you realize you don't even get a personal item or a carry-on. You might get one personal item. That's it. You can't even take a carry-on. People need to know that kind of stuff before they get on the airplane, for sure.
And Patty, I noticed on a lot of air carriers now are going into these custom interiors where they have like sealed off rooms, work areas, so I know they're up in the price, but
Right.
it's pretty cool if you're on a long flight that you kind of got your own space in your own area, right? So
For sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
some of the really long destinations, their premium class and stuff will have showers,
yeah,
change rooms, all of that kind of stuff. The beds lay absolutely flat, so you can actually lay down to sleep and things like that. They all do come with a cost, but then again, I mean, starting your trip off refreshed and
no kidding. I
ready to
mean,
go
take
makes it-
advantage of it if you've got it, right?
Yeah,
Because it's
for
just
sure.
too cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Points programs with all airlines. Most travel agents can't deal much with points programs, but we'll touch on those kind of things later. But we can still get some advice on connection times and things like that with air. You have to be aware of all that stuff.
So in my 8-hour trips to Hawaii back in the day on a DC-10, here's what you had: a seat.
And it was a
Yeah, you have to bring
And a
your
big
own.
movie up front you didn't even want to watch.
Yeah. Yeah. Times
That's how much
have
has changed. I mean, literally,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I told Joe all the time, I was like, dude, you have no idea. When I used to travel when I was your age, it was the most boring thing.
it was boring and it was long and it was tedious and you could only move around so much, right? Yeah. So
Yeah.
today it's just really accommodating. It's amazing what they've done with aircraft. That's the amazing part.
You get Wi-Fi on the plane. Like you could be texting.
That's what I'm saying. Starlink, they got all this stuff today.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's like being in the home in the air.
Yep.
Good.
And then last question for the show. Let's talk about travel safety and technology.
Yeah. You know what? That's one of the biggest questions that I'll get from some clients going to destinations. Is it safe? And absolutely, there are always advisories put out by the government. Some I kind of feel sometimes are overkill. They're a little exaggerated. Again, one of the great things that I have so many people in these local destinations, I'll message them and say, what is the condition? Like what's happening there right now?
Good.
And, I get that honest opinion from people who live there and they're in the industry. They don't want to bring tourists if it's not safe. But seriously, if it's being over exaggerated by the media and stuff, they're honest and saying, no, we're fine. My family goes out all the time. And that gives me a great satisfaction to know that I can pass that on to clients and make them feel a little bit better. So that's the biggest safety issue is destination. And then, of course, when you're in destination, little safety things, just always watch for like pickpockets and scams and things like that. And I never want to harp on things for clients, but they have to be aware. Europe is a big one for pickpockets, especially in, you're in the Vatican City, you're all walking around, you're all looking all over the place. You put your guard down. So things like the crossbody bags that can't be sliced, put a little lock on it. Women with purses, please make sure you have a zipper on it and it's done up, just so people can't reach in really easily. The last thing you want to do is, have stuff go missing in a country that you just can't readily get ID back and things like that. So
Smart.
Yeah. And even, safety when you travel at home, think about that too, like safety alarms, have somebody at your house to stay. Don't paste on Facebook that, hey, my house is empty for 2 weeks. Those kind of things, those little things that we kind of go through with the checklist with people when they travel. You don't think about it, right? You're excited about your trip and you posted about it. But then always put, hey, thanks for my best friend for staying at our house and keeping it safe, right? Those little things will help in the long run. So, just any other things that you can do. Keep up your lawn service, keep up your mail, have somebody pick it up, have the neighbor check. Always in destination, keep your technology up. Make sure that you have a phone plan that family can get in touch with you or your travel agent can get in touch with you if something happens.
That's
so
awesome.
The eSIMs, all of that kind of stuff are big. WhatsApp is a great app to use because all you need is Wi-Fi. You don't have to have the plan, so you can still communicate with family if something happens or emergency. So those little things, again, we kind of chat with when people start to travel. So
I love it.
By eSIMs,
Yeah.
is that like picking up a I guess a temporary plan at the country you're going to?
Yeah, my husband is the techie, so he's much better at it. He actually goes through my clients with this. But an eSIM is a SIM card that you would pop into your cell phone, and what it does though is it gives you a new number for that destination so that it becomes local and you can use your phone in destination with plans. However, you have to remember you can't forward your phone to a different number if you don't know it until you get your SIM. So there's eSIMs that you get online, and then there's actual SIM cards that you buy and you'll pop into your phone to use. I'm great with making sure that my local carrier, I have a plan to use out of the country, and that's what I prefer to use. Numbers don't change. My contacts are all still there, especially with vendors and stuff like that. It's really important to me to do it that way. So,
That's awesome.
yeah.
That's pretty
Wow.
cool.
Cool.
Good tip on the social too. I can see a lot of people just not really putting two and two together. It's like, wait, just told everybody I'm out.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, so you don't tell people you go on trips, and you get light kits, that come on and off and do things that make you look like you're at home. And
yeah,
I mean, you do post. You're right. Just posting, hey, thanks for staying at the house. Taking care of the house while I'm gone or something.
Yeah.
This way, people really don't
list the kind of TVs you have, and don't
that kind of stuff
inside the house, right? my Porsche's in the garage. It'd be sitting there. Right?
Yeah.
So this is great. And I can't wait to hear how you apply this then to our next when we come up in August, because July 3rd, by the way, day 4th to 4th. I can't wait to hear how you apply these to certain destinations, right? Because then you're getting into really helping people understand what they should and shouldn't bring, what the legal issues are, what the insurance is. That's just perfect.
Yeah, and in July we're going to be talking about cruising. So we're going to be talking about ocean and river cruising. Kind of what's different. A lot of my clients will start with ocean and then go into river. There's pros and cons to both. We'll kind of go through everything. So if anybody has any questions ahead of time, please, get them through.
Yeah, we'll get the word out. We'll get the word out before that, and absolutely for sure. Perfect. And I was going to say my takeaway from this today was, believe it or not, was toward the beginning, and that is, I just don't think people think that they're saving money by doing it themselves. To me, that right there is a single reason to pick up the phone or go on your website, by the way. And let's see. I think that's at the top, Jordan. I think I put it above. I think this is the single best reason to call you, because you're paid by the people that, it's built-in commission. So you're doing the work up front that they would be doing. And why put the stress on yourself for your trip? Why not make this easy if you're going to pay the same amount of money? And then if there's a few perks, that they want to add on, they have that opportunity through you to remind them what they are that they may not know about.
Yeah.
So
really, a travel agent's role is to guide people through their travel. We're not deciding where you go or deciding that. We're just giving you the options based on the information that you've said you want and what you want to get out of this trip. So we just give you the options, we do the work, and we're your support through everything in case something does go wrong. So,
Jordan, it never ceases to amaze me that we start this at 3:00 and we look up and it's been an hour and 8 minutes.
We're talking about travel. This
talking about chalked information, and by the time we're done with this in 9 months, imagine how much information people will have, and Pattie will have clients. I'm absolutely positive. Of course, we want to make travel great again.
And if there's one takeaway I want people listening to take is, if you're going to book a vacation and you're going to book it through Not Smartpedia, and get all your things, you're going to put a lot of time and work.
Jordan, you sound like you speak from experience there, bud.
Who's going to get paid for all that labor? Because they also get commission.
Yeah.
Right.
You can actually work for Not Smartpedia and have them make money from your labor, or hire a travel agent and actually
Exactly. And it just, the more you think about that, the more is why would you not?
Yeah.
That's really what it's going to come down to is what is your reason?
Yeah.
And I think part of it is they just don't realize there's good travel agents anymore. They think that it's all done online, and they just think naturally because they're bombarded with it, which means their advertising works, but it's not necessarily the best way to go.
Right.
So,
And,
all right.
and I have to say, one of the things that I go through too is when I'm researching for a client, a new destination, my Facebook fills up with that destination, like everything about it. So everybody that's searching at home, your internet, then it reads those metrics, right? So then you're going to be bombarded with all that stuff.
There
That
you
keeps your
go.
computers clean. It comes on our plate to do that.
Right.
So it's just an extra
All right.
part. So
Well, everybody, thank you, Pattie.
thanks so much.
Dreamaker Vacation. She'll be back with us July 3rd. That's the first Thursday for July 4th, the holiday. It'll be fun. We'll enjoy that. And then, listen, guys, please send this out to a couple of our folks and get subscribed and make sure you check this out and share it. Pattie, I'll get a copy out to you tomorrow. But if you'll sit tight with us for a few minutes, we'll make sure we get the recording all caught up. I don't know if I checked it. I hope we did, Jordan. So, I'm sure you did. But anyhow, you guys have a great day. Thanks for listening to Mansfield Buzz, and we'll see you around the corner next Thursday.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Mm-hmm.